This video is a review for the Unit 8 test. So the first we're going to perform the indicate operation. So here we see there's a plus sign between, so we want to add our polynomials. So the first parenthesis doesn't have a number in front of it, so it's a 1. So all of those terms are going to stay the same. 6x squared plus 9x minus 3. In the second set of parentheses, we have a 5 that we are going to distribute, so everything in that parenthesis multiplies by 5. So we have negative 10x squared plus 15x minus 45. Now we're going to combine like terms. Remember, when you combine like terms, only the coefficients are going to add or subtract, but the variables or not having a variable is going to remain the same. So 6x squared minus 10x squared would get us 4x squared. 9x plus 15x is 24x. And negative 3 minus 45 would get us negative 48. In number 2, there's a negative sign in between, so we are going to subtract. So the first parenthesis, we distribute a 1, it stays the same. X squared minus 10x plus 3. The second parenthesis is a negative, so we're going to distribute a negative 1, which is going to change our signs. So 4x squared plus 3x minus 2, and then we're going to combine like terms. So x squared minus 4x squared is 3x squared. Negative 10x plus 3x is negative 7x. And 3 minus 2 is plus 1. Now in 3, 4, and 5, there is not an operation sign between these, so this means we are multiplying. So you can multiply in two ways, either by distributing or box. So if you want to do it in the box method, this is a binomial by a binomial, so we're going to have a 2 by 2 box. On one side, we're going to have one of the binomials, so 4x minus 1. On the other side, the other binomial, x and 7. And then we're going to multiply what meets in the box. So 4x times x is 4x squared. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x. 4x times 7 is 28x. And 7 times negative 1 is negative 7. These x's need to combine together, so we get 4x squared plus 27x minus 7. In number 2, we have the quantity 2x minus 10 squared. So what you're going to do is rewrite this parenthesis twice. And then instead of doing the box method, you can also distribute. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times negative 10 is negative 20x. Negative 10 times 2x is negative 20x. Negative 10 times negative 10 is 100. And then we're going to combine these x's in the middle. So we get 4x squared minus 40x plus 100. Number 5, we have a binomial times a trinomial, which you could do as a box problem, or you can just distribute. So x times 2x squared is 2x cubed. X times 4x is 4x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x, and then we're going to distribute the negative 7. So negative 7 times 2x squared is negative 14x squared. Negative 7 times 4 is negative 28x. And negative 7 times negative 3 is plus 21. And then we can combine like terms. So we only have one x cubed term, so we're going to leave it as 2x cubed. The x squareds can combine together to get us negative 10x squared. Negative 3x and negative 28x will make us negative 31x. And the 21 has nothing to combine with, so we'll just say plus 21. Factor completely. So we're going to skip number 6 and number 7. We're going to go right to number 8. So in number 8, we have x squared minus 10x plus 16. So numbers that multiply to 16 are 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. If we are multiplying to a positive, but adding to a negative, both numbers need the negative signs. So the combo that adds to negative 10 is negative 2 and negative 8. So we have x minus 2 and x minus 8. In number 9, before we can factor, we need an x squared term. So we can take out a GCF, and our GCF here is 6. So we're going to place 6 in front, and we're going to divide by 6. So we get x squared 30 divided by 6 will get us plus 5x, and then negative 216 divided by 6 is negative 36. Now we're going to factor what's in the parentheses. So numbers that multiply to 36, 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. So if we are multiplying to a negative and adding to a positive, that means our smaller number is going to be the negative. So negative 4, 9 is going to be our numbers. So we're going to leave the GCF 6 and then write our two factors, x minus 4 and x plus 9. In number 10, we have x squared minus 24x plus 144. So numbers that multiply to 144 are 1 and 144, 2 and 72, 3 and 48, 4 and 36, 6 and 24, 8 and 18, 9 and 16, and 12 and 12. So if we are multiplying to a positive and we are adding to a negative, all of our numbers are going to be negative here. So the combination that would add to negative 24 is negative 12 and negative 12. So we would have x minus 12 and x minus 12. Because it's the same factor, you could write it as x minus 12 squared. In number 11, we have x cubed plus 3x squared minus 18x. So everything has one too many x's, so we're going to factor out a GCF of x, which leaves us with x squared plus 3x minus 18. So numbers that multiply to 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. If we are multiplying to a negative and adding to a positive, our smaller number is the negative. So the combo that we're looking for is negative 3 and 6. So we're going to have our GCF x and then x minus 3, x plus 6. In number 12, we have x squared minus 9. So another way to think about this is x squared plus 0x minus 9. Numbers that multiply to 9 are 1 and 9 and 3 and 3. Since we're multiplying to a negative number, we need one of each sign. So the one that adds to 0 is negative 3 and 3. So x minus 3 and x plus 3. In number 13, we have 5x cubed plus 25x squared minus 30x. So we need to take out an x and the 5 for our GCF. So our GCF is 5x, which leaves us with x squared plus 5x minus 6. So we want numbers that multiply to 6, which are 1 and 6, and 2 and 3. If we are multiplying to a negative and adding to a positive, our smaller number is the negative. So the combo that would add to 5 is negative 1, 6. So we have 5x times x minus 1 times x plus 6. In number 14, we have 5x squared minus 80. So our GCF here is 5. So we're going to divide both by 5. So we have x squared minus 16. So numbers that multiply to 16 are 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. We're multiplying to a negative number, so we need one of each sign. And because there is no x term, that means we're adding to 0. So we're going to have 5 times x minus 4 times x plus 4. Factor if necessary and solve. So when we look at these problems and we are factoring, we want to solve for x. So 15 and 16 are already in factored form. So we're just going to take every x we see and set it equal to 0. So x equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0, and x plus 4 equals 0. X minus 0 is already solved for. The second one we're going to add 2, so x is 2. And the next one we're going to subtract 4, so x is negative 4. So we see 3 x's here, so we're going to have 3 solutions. In number 16, we only have 2 x's, so we're going to have 2 solutions. So 2x minus 10 equals 0, and 8x minus 6 equals 0. So we can add 10 to both sides. 2x equals 10. We divide by 2. X is 5. Here we can add 6 to both sides. So 8x equals 6. And we divide by 8. X is 3/4. We're going to skip number 17 and we're going to go to number 18. So we have x squared minus 9x plus 18. So this is not in factored form. We need to factor first. So numbers that multiply to 18 are 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. We're adding to a negative number, so they're all negative. So we're going to have x minus 3 and x minus 6 equals 0. There are two x's, so we're going to get two solutions. So x minus 3 equals 0. We can add 3, so x is 3. X minus 6 equals 0. We can add 6, so x is 6. In number 19, we have x squared minus 8x minus 20. So numbers that multiply to 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. This time we're multiplying to a negative and adding to a negative, so our bigger number is negative. So 2, negative 10 is our combo we're looking for, because that's what adds to negative 8. So we have x plus 2 and x minus 10 equals 0. So when we solve, we're going to get two solutions. So x plus 2 equals 0. We can subtract 2, so x is negative 2. And x minus 10 equals 0. We can add 10, so x is 10. In number 20, our GCF here, because we need to take an x out of each term, is x. So we have x times x squared minus 4x minus 60 equals 0. So numbers that multiply to 60 are 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 6 and 10, and 5 and 12. So we're multiplying to a negative and adding to a negative, so our bigger number is the negative. So 6 negative 10 is what's going to add to negative 4. So we're going to have x times x plus 6 times x minus 10 equals 0. This time we see 3 x's, so we're going to have 3 solutions. So x equals 0, nothing to solve, we just have our answer. X plus 6 equals 0, we can subtract 6, so x is negative 6. And x minus 10 equals 0, we add 10, so x is 10. In number 21, in order to solve first, we need our equation to equal 0, so we're going to add the 42 to both sides. So 3x squared plus 27x plus 42 equals 0. Then we need to take out a GCF of 3. So we're going to divide everything by 3. X squared plus 9x plus 14 equals 0. So numbers that multiply to 14 are 2 and 7 and 1 and 14. If we're adding to 9, we're going to use 2 and 7. So 3 times x plus 2 times x plus 7 equals 0. There are only 2 x's here, so we're going to have 2 solutions. So x plus 2 equals 0. We can subtract 2, so x is negative 2. And x plus 7 equals 0. We can subtract 7, so x is negative 7. In number 22, we need to take out a GCF of 3x. So we can get that first term to be x squared. And then we have 10x minus 24 equals 0. So numbers that multiply 24, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Because we're multiplying a negative 24 and adding to 10, our smaller number is the negative. So we're going to use negative 2 and 12. So 3x times x minus 2 times x plus 12 equals 0. There are 3 x's here, so we're going to have 3 solutions. So 3x equals 0, and we divide by 3, x is 0. X minus 2 equals 0, so we add 2, x is 2. And x plus 12 equals 0, subtract 12, x is negative 12. And then we are going to skip number 23 as well.